I'm Paris Hundal. I'm currently a rising junior at Virginia Tech, and I'm a computer engineer.
Hello, all. I'm Bruce Varela. I'm a chemical engineering student starting my senior year, so excited to share more later.
All right. So, what it takes to be a successful College of Engineering student. So, the big things that we look for um, are creativity, teamwork, study habits, an interest in math and science, and a challenging high school background. So, what do we mean by that? So, creativity with engineering, right? There's going to be a lot of times where you're going to have some kind of problem or some kind of constraints that are presented to you by some customer. And so you need creativity to then solve those problems. Teamwork, of course, is essential because usually when you are as an engineer, you're going to be working on teams with other engineers or even non-engineers. And so teamwork is essential for being able to get, tasks done. Good study habits are huge as well. Engineering classes are not always the easiest sometimes. So making sure that you're developing those study habits is a great way to have success. And of course, the earlier you start, the easier it's going to get to actually have those good habits and get through your classes. Of course, being engineers, very heavy in math and science. So definitely having an interest in math and science is going to be super helpful to be an engineer. Of course, you don't have to love math and science, but having an interest in it will definitely just help you get through those classes. And then, of course, a challenging high school background. Doesn't mean you need to take like all of the hardest classes that you possibly can. It just means that, you need to try to challenge yourself because college engineering classes can be difficult. And so just trying to make your course load in high school a little bit harder will then help set you up for actually dealing with those classes in college.
Okay, so here's the freshman engineering class of 2022. What we like to share about the statistics is that it doesn't show the whole picture. This is just like the numbers. By average, we kind of reported that 4 out of 5, that's the GPA we kind of recruit. And then the average SAT reading, those are the numbers for 646 for math and 650 for reading. It's a very diverse class, as you can see. So the female percentage is 24%, and underrepresented minority is 41%. And we are always working on increasing these numbers because our diversity on your campus is what makes us.
Yep. And you might have frozen, I think. Um, but when it comes to average, one thing to note is that that is an average GPA. So, of course, there's plenty of people who are above that GPA and plenty of people who are below. So that is something to note. Okay, so the first year that we have at Virginia Tech Engineering is something called general engineering. So this is not inclusive of building construction, which is a major that was added into the College of Engineering pretty recently. But how general engineering works is it's gives you that common entry point and it gives you common classes among all of the freshmen, right? You'll be taking a lot of those pathways of general education classes, which are 2 classes fall in spring. You'll also have a lot of the similar math classes, same science classes like your chemistry and your physics. And so a lot of these classes, the point is to give you that introduction into engineering, but also to provide you with that ability to meet other engineers and build those study groups, those friendships early on. So that way, when you go into your actual majors starting second year, you can actually have a group of friends and have those study groups established to help make that process a lot easier. So, of course, we do accept transfer credit. We accept AP, IB, collab to enrollment. If you do go to the registrar website, there should be a tab somewhere that actually talks about transfer credits. So that's a good place to go look. It should give you like this big sheet that has all of the like requisites and has all of those classes you can take and what they would translate to in terms of Virginia Tech classes. So that is something I would recommend looking at. The pathways for general education. like I had mentioned, those are specifically, you're going to be taking 2 classes that are really big for engineering. But then also beyond that, we have about 7, I believe, categories that are diverse, right? Including your history, including like your arts. And so these are just classes that we have that are meant to generalize your education, just to give you a bit more of a breadth of knowledge. And so these classes, typically it's about 6 credits, so about 2 classes per each pathway. And of course, with those pathways, your classes in engineering are going to fulfill some of those more math and science dedicated pathways. And then at the end of your freshman year is actually when you get to go into your specific engineering major. So if you have a 3.0, that will guarantee your first choice. So basically what you would do is at the end of your spring semester and freshman year, you're going to get like bombarded by emails that will, be asking you to select your majors, and you would just select, I think, 3, and you get your top one if you have a 3.0. Note that this isn't necessarily based on seats, although there are certain seats within each engineering major. If, say, 300 people choose mechanical engineering as their first choice and they all get the 3.0, but there's only 200 seats, Virginia Tech will accept all 300, and then we'll hire new staff, and we'll do everything we need to accommodate all 300 of those people. So what AP classes do you take? So I would assume for those AP classes, and I'll try to see if I can answer some of the questions as I go, but most of them I'll probably hit at the end. For AP classes, I would probably recommend definitely as much physics as you can take. Typically with the engineering majors, it depends on what your actual engineering major is. You'll definitely take physics 1 and chem 1, regardless of whatever your major is, but you might end up taking physics 2 as well. Like I am a computer engineer, so for us, we have to take physics 2. So I think that might be, I would recommend taking them. Taking physics 1 and C, but A, B, and C, D. But if you only want to take the AP physics 1, that's totally fine too. It's up to you, really. If that answers your question. Okay,
Awesome.
so going on to the next piece, the foundations of engineering. So, like I was saying, that there's going to be these common classes that you'll take. This is what it's called: Foundations of Engineering. So this is a fall and spring semester class that you'll take. And so within this class, what you'll do is you'll learn a lot of basic engineering skills. So this will include data collection, analysis, problem solving, modeling, and tool design. You'll go over professional practices, and you'll also get introduction to engineering fields and majors. So you'll be working on a team on both of these semesters. The first semester, you'll be going over some kind of problem, and it'll be something like, there's a lot of trash on campus, or you'll identify some kind of problem and attempt to come up with an action plan to solve it. So this will introduce you to that basic data collection, analysis skills. It'll introduce you to the problem solving, and it'll also introduce you to that idea of working on a team with numerous different engineering majors. Going on to the second semester, you'll actually start going into more of like the CAD software. You start actually designing a project. So for me, for example, we did a wind turbine. So it was just like this small, like, I don't know, 2-3 feet tall wind turbine that we actually developed in CAD. And then we were able to actually build like a draft version of it. And then we were able to submit it into testing. So in this, again, you'll work on a team, and it'll even further that idea of working on a team, but also introduce those more hardcore technical skills of working with like a CAD software, or building actual inventions, or building those actual projects. So this goes into a pie chart of the 2021 College of Engineering. So for the 2021, this is all of the actual engineering majors that we had. And of course, if you look at the engineering education, that's going to be all of those freshmen that have all of those general classes, so that first year. But as you can see, We have a wide breadth of these, and some of these programs are definitely a lot bigger than others. So, like the computer science is massive with 1,300 students, but you have some of the smaller programs like mining and ocean. Of course, these numbers are different. I'm pretty sure that computer and electrical engineering have grown a little bit. I want to say ocean has grown, but this is the general gist of how big our actual departments are. So, going on to opportunities, we have a lot of opportunities within our actual program, and these can extend from research opportunities to being on design teams and getting your hands-on experience. So, first thing, of course, we have our engineering minors. So, engineering minors, we have all kinds of minors. We have the computer science, which I think is actually the most popular one. We have cybersecurity. We have green engineering, which focuses more on that environmentalism idea. Microelectronics. We have naval engineering, which is different from the major. So that's a major and a minor. Biomedical engineering, which same thing. That's a major and a minor. And then interdisciplinary engineering and science, or scienceering. Of course, we have undergraduate opportunities. Most of these you can find with your professors. We have study abroad options, which we'll talk about more later. We have professional societies and engineering organizations. So for the Rising Sophomore Abroad program, or RSAP, so this is a program that you're going to be taking. It has two different parts to it. So the first part is a 3-credit class during the spring semester that you're going to be taking called Global STEM Practice. So what this will do is it'll explore engineering in that international context. It'll help you build the skills that you need to work in diverse teams, but also get some level of knowledge into the country that you're going to be going to. And then when you go to actually travel, at the end of May, you'll go for 2 weeks to one of many different tracks. So for 2023, for example, we had Argentina and Chile. We had Australia, New Zealand, Italy and Germany, Japan, South Korea, and on. And so what you'll do is then you travel to those locations. Do note that this is something that's available for rising sophomores. So you would end up taking this at the end of your freshman spring semester. You would take the engineering 1644, and then you would actually travel out during that summer after freshman year. And of course, there are going to be program fees, including the airfare, accommodations, in-country travel, the breakfasts, and whatnot. But of course, you have this QR code on the screen right here that can give you a lot more information. And then, of course, you can also email them at rsap@vt.edu. Going on to our internships and co-op experiences. So this map actually shows some of the Dean's team members and their internships. So as you can see, we have experiences all over the country, right? We've been working from the Walt Disney, which you might not expect as an engineer, to the places like SpaceX, Lockheed, Northrop. So we work everywhere, and not only in every company that you can imagine, but also all over the country. And I'd like to remind you that this is only Dean's team members, which is like 60 people. If you actually include the entire College of Engineering, this entire map will be super, super brightly colored. The nice benefits of coming to Virginia Tech as well is that we have a lot of career fairs. So with these career fairs, we have ones that are more specific, like the Engineering Expo, which is the second largest engineering career fair that's run by students in the country, right? Tons of companies will come. And as you can see in these pictures, right, you get all the opportunity to go talk to these recruiters that are here specifically for Hokie engineers. And of course, we have tons and tons of career fairs all throughout the year. The nice thing about this as well, we like to say, is Hokies hire Hokies. So usually these companies will actually ask any alumni that they have to come and recruit. So then you'll have a Hokie recruiter talking to Hokie students. So if I could draw your attention to this middle picture of the two women talking, the woman in the suit is actually the student, and the woman that's wearing that nice polo is a Hokie graduate that's a recruiter. Going on into something we have called living learning communities. So we have living learning communities that are essentially just it's like a program that you will enter and you'll do special things with that program, and then you'll live in a specific dorm with everyone that's part of it. So the engineering one is called Galileo and Hypatia, which is currently located in Hogue Hall. So Galileo and Hypatia is our engineering living learning community, and it's focused all around helping you build that engineering group and engineering mindset. So there'll be all kinds of fun events that you can do that range from social events where you get to know other engineers to actually doing professional development where you look at your resume, develop your LinkedIn, or it'll go on to have more of those tutoring sessions. So you'll have upperclassmen helping you out with your first year classes. And of course, is a great place to be because you'll be living with other engineers. And so you'll be able to build those connections really early on. The nice thing about this as well, as you can see in the bottom right picture, this place actually has a makerspace that is private to just Hogue. So there is makerspaces all around campus, but Hogue has their own special one that only the people living in Galileo Hypatia can actually use. So that's a really nice added benefit. You'll also get a mentor, which will help you every about 2-ish weeks. You'll meet up with them, and then they can, of course, help you with anything that you need. And this mentor is going to be an upperclassman that actually lives in the building. So you can go down to their door, you can knock on it, right? Talk to them, whatever have you. So how many people are part of the living learning community? Hogue is able to bed about 800 people. So I'd say about 800. I believe and Bruce, you can fact check me on this, but I believe that there are plans to move into another building that can hold more people, but I might be wrong. But at the moment, Hogue does have about 800 beds. All right, so peer mentoring and STEP. So this is the option that you can take if you don't actually want to live in Hogue. So peer mentoring and STEP is going to be a similar program, specifically the peer mentoring, where you'll be able to get a mentor and then you'll be able to meet up with them. They'll be able to help you out with your classes or getting used to life, and they'll be a great resource for you. Similarly, STEP is an early program that you can do over the summer where you'll come over for 5 weeks before the semester actually starts. And then you'll be able to actually experience those first 5 weeks of classes. So you'll take your classes, you'll actually go and live in VT. You'll be able to go to those classes, you'll do the homeworks, and up to the first test and getting it back, you'll be able to experience what life is like as a student. Of course, none of this will actually apply to your GPA or count, but it'll be that first experience. That way you'll have a little bit of an advantage and you'll know this is what life is like. This is what being a student is like. And so you'll be able to make any mistakes within those 5 weeks. And then, of course, you'll be really well prepared when the actual event comes. So these are definitely great resources to take advantage of. We have this idea in the College of Engineering called hands-on, minds-on. So the idea of this is that we have lots of opportunities for you to actually go out and apply this knowledge that you're learning in your classes, right? So for example, this is showing you some of the Ware Lab teams. So the Ware Lab is a design building that we have, and design teams are just groups of students that are able to build things. So some of these pictures that you can see here, you can see Formula SAE, you can see the hybrid electrical vehicle team, you can see that these teams, what they do is they'll build like a car or they'll build whatever it may be, and then they'll actually go and compete. So Formula SAE was one of the most popular ones. That's the little race car that you can see in the bottom left picture. And so what they'll do is that they, from scratch, will just have a bunch of students that will then create this car. So you'll CAD it first, right? And then you'll actually take the parts out, you'll build them all, and then they'll actually go out and race and compete. So this is super, super cool experiences that are hugely popular. And of course, they're super fun to do as well. And of course, for those of you that love numbers, for our engineering rankings, we were rated the 16th best undergraduate program and the 30th best graduate program. And of course, by the American Society for Engineering Education, we're the number 7 producer of engineers and number 8 producer of women engineers. And of course, if you'd like a couple other statistics, we're actually rated number 4 in the country for our electrical and computer engineering program, which is my program. So a little bit of a pitch there to be a computer electrical engineer. And of course, the outcomes in 2021, we had a 90% retention rate of freshmen who continued into a second year in engineering. And I like to note that those that live in Hogue, that are part of Galileo and Hypatia, this number is actually a lot closer to like 99%. So we have a super high retention rate. And of course, after graduation, we had 59% of respondents that were employed and 20% that planned to attend a graduate school or already accepted admission into one. And I'd like to note that this is actually a 70% response rate. So those numbers are actually higher than that. Well, but everyone didn't respond. And a median starting salary is about $70,500 for a Bachelor of Engineering, which compared to the 6,300 or 63,000 median salary for the entire university, engineers do get paid a little bit more. So going on next to scholarships. So generally for the freshmen, when you do actually, submit your applications, you'll actually have the general university as scholarship application, as well as your financial aid. So that'll be your FAFSA. Of course, please fill out your FAFSA, and if you don't, you're going to get spammed by emails to fill out your FAFSA. So definitely fill it out. And of course, for VCCS transfer students, you have the Leo Pattis Scholarship, and then upperclassmen, they get even greater chances to get scholarships. So if you don't manage to get one in freshman year, that's okay, because once you get into an upperclassman, you'll not only have access to College of Engineering funds, but then also every department individually is actually going to be where a lot of the money goes. So if you're a CS student, for example, the CS department gets its own funding to then have scholarships for its students. Excuse me. So as you get older and you go, through more senior grades in college, you'll have a lot more opportunity to actually get scholarships. We do also post computer requirements. So I'd say now is probably a good time to actually start looking at computers, maybe like last week or, early this month. But generally what we'll look at is we'll look at a laptop or a 2-in-1 tablet. We can find the actual requirements that are listed online and updated yearly, which is why we ask that, you should probably wait until like the last possible minute just to get the most updated one. Windows 10 is required on whatever laptop you get, specifically because when we actually have those, those softwares that we run within the classes, a lot of the time we'll have programs that don't really run super well on anything besides Windows 10. So we kind of require Windows 10. And of course, we hugely recommend something like a tablet or a 2-in-1 laptop. I have a tablet and a laptop, and a lot of the people that I know have one. Just it's super nice to be able to pull out a laptop and also have a tablet on hand, just because you'll be able to put in all your notes, you'll be able to take all your homework, and it just makes life infinitely easier. You don't have to carry around a stack of papers. You don't have to keep printing things out, scanning things in. Super, super easy to actually work with digital inking. So that's just a bit of a recommendation from myself and us at the College of Engineering. So for actual majors that we have, so I am a computer engineer, but that program is a part of the ECE program. So the electrical computer engineering is what ECE is. So electrical engineering is like one part of that sandwich, right? It's like one piece of that bread. So electrical engineering, it's really big on the hardware. So things like circuits, things like controllers, right? You're going to be looking at a lot of those more hard technical physical things, that hardware aspect. And so within that, you'll have focus systems as well. So you have communications and networking, you have controls, robotics, autonomy, energy and power electronic systems, micro nano systems, photonics, radio frequency and microwaves, and space systems. So within those are all focus areas. And typically within the ECE department, what you do is you pick 2 focus areas. So you have one that's your major focus, and then you have a secondary focus, which you'll just take like 3 classes from. And you can see here, you can apply electrical engineering to just about anything, right? For example, you can apply it to the electric bike team, which I actually kind of forget what their name is. So, Bruce, if you remember what their name is, Bolt, I think it was what it is. Yeah, it's Bolt. that's another design team that also competes. They build their own electric bike and then they race it.
Yes.
Going on to computer engineering, this is like a middle ground between electrical engineering and CS. So what this does is you not only are able to build those circuits, but then you're also able to code them. So you'll have majors like chip scale integration, controls, robotics, and autonomy, machine learning, networking, cybersecurity, and software systems. You might notice that controls, robotics, and autonomy are redundant across electrical and computer engineering, but that's because both of them will have their own little perspective on that specific focus. And of course, it is possible to have a mix. So you could have, electrical engineering that's focusing on an electrical engineering actual focus area. And then you might choose that you might want to see if you can take a computer engineering focus area and shove it in. So there's a lot of mix and match that you can do. And then I will come back to questions after. And of course, as Bruce, Bruce might also Bruce is going around and answering some of these as well. Computer science is your final piece of that sandwich. So computer science is that software focus. So your areas for that are computational biology and bioinformatics, human computer interaction. You have your software engineering, your systems and networking. So this is that huge software focus. If you actually look at these pictures, that top left is something called the Cube. It's this giant virtual reality cube, and it's super, super cool. It's in the Moss Arts Center, I believe. But it's this super, super cool VR cube. And then you can also see the bottom left picture, something called VT Hacks. So that's a VT Hackathon, as well as a team, I think that's called VT Hacks. But the hackathon is going to be this 48-hour coding challenge, pretty much. You'll have companies that show up, you'll have lectures that you can go to, but it's a coding challenge that you can go to, and it's a great place to build skills and teamwork. But also, it's going to be a great place to then get some connections with some of those companies and recruiters that come. Going on to mechanical engineering, is, I feel like, that engineering that a lot of people will think of. It's something that's applicable everywhere. So here you can focus on automotive, you can focus on energy, nuclear, and, what have you. So these pictures that we have here, the top left one is a robot dog. So why do we have a robot dog? Well, when you actually come to a VT football game, every time that there's a score, the Corps of Cadets is going to start doing a ton of push-ups, right? But that can get really tiring. So mechanical engineering decided, hey, we're going to make a robot dog that then does those push-ups for them. And so you have your robot dog. So now going on to aerospace engineering. So aerospace is really similar to ocean engineering, right? It's working with fluids. So specifically with aerospace engineering, your fluid is air, right? You're going to be working on building those planes. You're going to work on aerodynamics, propulsion, space engineering. You can see here, the top left picture is a Rolls-Royce engine that you can actually see when you come to VT engineering. We have it hanging in Goodwin Hall, which is one of our big engineering buildings. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere, but they're actually starting to build around it a lot. So I think it's a little bit more, I guess, inconspicuous now, but that's a really cool engine to come see. Of course, we also have a team called Design Build Fly, which has actually done really, really well. I think internationally they did super well recently, but more design teams that you can go to. The other side of that fluids is ocean engineering. So these guys focus on fluids, on water specifically. So you can do hydrodynamics, you can do naval engineering, propulsion structures, right? It's very similar to aerospace engineering, just that you're focusing more on boats. Of course, we have a submarine. We have a human-powered submarine team, which they're really cool. They basically build a submarine that you can power with a human. Industrial systems and engineering. So what you come with this is closer to that idea of processes within engineering. So these guys will focus more on that, higher level idea of how do we make our process of engineering a lot more efficient, right? So you have management systems, manufacturing systems, operations research. These are these people that, you'll look to improve how you go about your engineering process and how you go about the process of your company. Going on to chemical engineering. So chemical engineering is going to focus a lot on actually constructing the idea of, chemistry, but they take it a lot further than that. And they not only understand, how to mix things, but they understand why to mix things. What can we do by mixing things? So one example of this is if you look at the top left picture, that's a chemical powered car. So that's a competition that, a design team goes to, the chemical car. And what they'll do is when you actually go to the actual competition, they give you, a set level parameters of, hey, you have to go this far. And, you have to figure out on the spot, how am I going to actually be able to do that? So then you actually create chemical compounds within your car at the competition and then test it. And so that is a great major.
I can also help you out a bit because I'm a
Yes.
chemical engineer and I love it to talk about it. So chemical engineering, you're essentially going to learn those principles in chemistry and physics, but also learn about how, let's say, thermodynamics affect like materials, like how transport of matter happens. So if you're thinking about moving some object from point A to B, how are they going to be affected by heat and mass transfer and such like that? And you kind of put those ideas together to create some materials or medicine. So it's very wide, it's very applicable. So here, the Chemicar, we essentially have different teams where we learn how to apply the things we learn in class to chemicals to like run chemical reaction to propel a car. You can also see Unit Lab is one of the biggest lab that we have in chemical engineering, where you can actually take it abroad and go learn how unit operation that are run in industry, how they operate. So if you're thinking about distillation or separation of material, all you get to actually run those as a student and understand how they work in industry. You can work in different. It's a very broad major. You can work in research. You can work in polymers. You can also participate in research. All our professors and the chemical engineering are engaged in some sort of research. And I've myself participated in the supercritical fluid lab, where you get to apply like ideas of thermodynamics and understand how they apply to oil and fluids in general. So just wanted to help out Earth because I was excited about chemical engineering. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, we love those pitches. All right.
Yeah.
Going on to the next one, you have your material science and engineering. So this one's actually pretty similar to chemicals engineering in that you're looking at materials themselves. But the difference is that material science and engineering is looking at how can we apply the material properties of whatever material that we're using to whatever problem that we need to solve. So every type of engineering that you're going to do, you're going to use some kind of material, be it computer engineering with needing, copper to build out our circuit components, to being like an aerospace engineer that needs to put paneling on a plane. You're going to need some kind of material to do that, and your material science and engineering are going to be your best friend. So we've got a great example of material science and engineering actually helping us win a football game. So if you look at this top left corner, we have a football player. So we had a football player that got injured in a game. Bruce, do you remember his name? Because it's slipping my mind right now.
Student that got injured, is it Cedric Holmes?
Yes, Cedric Humes. Yes.
Humes
Cedric Humes. So Cedric Humes, he got injured while in one of our football games, and this is like a long time ago. It's not recent, but he got injured, and so the material science and engineering, what they did is they built him a cast that was still within regulation, so he could actually play with the cast on. And because we were able to do that, he was able to play in the playoff game, and we were able to win. So we like to say engineering wins your football games. So material science and engineering, right? There's a lot of different things you can do with it. You can go into biomaterials, you can do ceramics, composites, polymers, all kinds of fun things you can do. Going on to civil. Bruce, you want to do this one?
Yeah, civil, surely can try that. So civil, you're understanding how principle of design, construction, operating like beams and essentially understanding how infrastructures do work together. One of the biggest thing they do is like steel bridge design team there, where you can apply ideas of um, static, I believe it's static, how like beam kind of like stay together. Civil engineers are also big into like environmental side. Like here's the Flint water crisis that happened here, and one of the professors went to actually do some research and understand what was affecting the water and how they could remediate that. Um, so that's a big thing that civil engineers do. They kind of like not only study the landscape, land development, but also how like things might affect like the water quality that we use. They also are into like building materials. They can look at building materials and understand better how they can be used to achieve a better structure, of a better coherent structure. Here you can see like they're doing concrete canoe as well, bottom right. It's one of the design team that they also have. They're very diverse. I guess that's all I can say really, but they also deal with like transport, if like transport systems or water supply systems is something that you feel like connected to and you might want to study more. Civil engineer might be like a good option for you as well.
We actually
Okay.
like to mention that that bottom left picture of Flint. Virginia Tech actually had a civil engineering professor that went down to Flint, Michigan during their water crisis and was the one that was actually able to help them with clearing up the water and dealing with those lead issues. All right. So going on to construction engineering and management. So with construction engineering and management, this is kind of like a civil engineer, except focused specifically on managing construction. So these guys, what they can do is they learn not only the design aspect of construction, so building buildings and whatnot, but also they learn the management side of, how do I handle with managing workers? How do I handle the actual construction process? Some of those logistics issues. And so here you can focus on smart design construction. You can think about the project management and those more human centered issues when it comes to actually building a building. So a place where you defer is building construction. So this is kind of more of the management side of the building construction engineering major. And so these guys will be able to actually focus a lot more on that project management and business aspect of actually building a building. And they're not necessarily as focused on actual design and engineering aspects. This was actually, I think, the most recent major that was added to the College of Engineering, if I'm right, Bruce.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, and so these guys are actually the one major that does not go through that first year of general engineering. They go straight into building construction freshman year. I'll take this one, Bruce.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So essentially mining, we're doing like green economy, depends on like all the mines that we, extracting important materials from the ground. So one of the biggest thing that miners do is that like they study how to do it safely. As you can do here at the top left corner, they're using drones to kind of like scan the area and understand like the landscape and how like, essential materials can be extracted safely. So like anything you can think of, like even the hockey stone that we use at our campus, they're all extracted locally. So actually, students go and see how they can extract those hockey stones. You can think of all the materials that we use in our cell phones. All those important metals are all extracted. So miners do that. Um, they also have like this cool class that we talk about. It's an explosive class where they study how to safely blow stuff up. It's a very exciting class, I've heard. More than 90% of students have jobs right after graduation. So it's a very small major, but it also has better opportunity if you're interested in that. There's a very turnaround um, job opportunity once you're graduating. Yeah, I think that's all I can share. And also, one thing we like to talk about is that like they work in also carbon capture, um, green engineering. So you can also do green engineering minor if you are taking one of those majors. Uh, yeah,
All right. We next have BSc, so biological systems engineering. So these guys are going to focus a lot on biotechnology, environmental health, food engineering. Right? These, some of you have been asking about the environmental engineers. This is a good way to go as well. So these guys will focus a lot more on those biological systems and how can we take our engineering practices and how can we take our engineering designs and build them so that we're also keeping our planet in mind. So biological systems engineers will definitely help us with, taking care of our environment. And also they can go from all kinds of things, right? So you could be involved in the food industry, for example. So it doesn't have to be just the environment. It can be any biological system. These guys can apply their skills.
hey, first, do you know if we're able to schedule like an in-person College of Engineering tour um, on August 8th? Is that like something that it's done?
Um, so I'm not sure if we can do specific tours. I'm sure we can. I'm sure that's definitely possible. So that's something that I'd probably ask admissions or the College of Engineering um, about whether or not you can actually do specific ones. We can also see if we can find an answer for you and then get back to you at some point. But I don't see why not. If you want a really specific tour, I guess this wouldn't exactly be specific to a rising freshman, but we do have engineering open house as well. So that's usually our big College of Engineering tour, but that's more geared towards people that are still figuring out where they want to apply because it is in the spring. But specific applications to go find tours, I think you might want to ask VT admissions or the College of Engineering because I don't know the answer to that either.
Okay, so biomedical engineering focuses on advancing like improving human health, like safety and healthcare. Um, if that's something that interests you, decreasing like financial and social cost of society is something that biomedical engineers do focus on. They work like in making like biomedical devices. Like if you think about even if you're working with a polymer that might work inside a human body, you might want to like think about how that would affect you know like tissues of your body, or like you're developing some cardiovascular devices that might help someone be more healthy. um, you can think about like tissue engineering. I know a lot of chemical engineering professors and diverse group do work in biomedical to kind of like make better devices in healthcare. That's one thing that is driven by also research a lot, because there is a lot of research going on in the biomedical field around now. Um, yeah, so if you're interested in biology and you feel like you want to apply chemistry to the human um, system, or understand how medicine work and how it does affect people in general, biomedical engineering is a good broad major as well. Or if you're thinking about like a medical route, usually biomedical engineering would be like a precursor to that. So
Okay, yeah. And so those are all the engineering majors that we have. So a great place to go is to explore engineering at Virginia Tech. This is a QR code that you can actually pull up with your phone. And then, of course, as you are going through your freshman year in general engineering, there's going to be an assignment that you have to do where it's just these presentations on all of the various majors within engineering. And so those are going to be things that you kind of have to go to. So that's going to be another great place to learn and find out more. So you don't have to know exactly where you want to go right now. Over the course of your first year, you'll be able to learn more about the engineering majors and figure out where you want to go. So I guess a little bit more of a personalized touch of Bruce and I, why we came to the College of Engineering here at Virginia Tech. So Bruce, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I can go first. First off, I wanted to stay in Virginia because I went to Northern Virginia Community College before I transferred down here. I knew Virginia Tech was one of the biggest school, especially when you were talking about engineering. And I also had a lot of transfers that already had been at Virginia Tech. So I wanted to be somewhere I could feel at home. There's this big energy that you have when you get to like Virginia Tech. There is that hokey spirit that you see. So that's one thing that attracted me as I went to the College of Engineering open house. If you ever get a chance, go there and maybe you get the chance to see what the college is like and what the spirit is. For me, was kind of like a place I would feel like I want to, not only challenge myself in terms of academics, but also grow and be, yeah, really, it's more about the opportunity to stay in Virginia and go to a better engineering school that is going to challenge me, but also at the end, I'll can I have like really good results at the end of at the end of the tunnel, if I could say that. Yeah.
So for me, a big thing for me was I wanted to have, a good, nice experience going to college. So with Virginia Tech, the thing that I love about Virginia Tech is it's in the middle of nowhere, but that it adds so much to it, right? You have a ton of different hiking spots you can go to. The town itself is a nice, great town with amazing people. And so the nice thing about it is when you actually come here to be an engineer, you're also immersing yourself in an environment that is incredibly open and friendly to you as well. And so when you actually come and take your classes, right? We talked previously about like Galileo Hypatia and getting help from upperclassmen. That I cannot stress just how common that is, right? Upperclassmen will always be willing to help you. Professors will be willing to help you. Everyone at Virginia Tech is super supportive in helping you learn. On top of that, it's the idea of hands-on, minds-on that we also talked about, right? The idea that you can go and you can apply your engineering skills, right? You can go to join a design team. You can go and find your own experience. You can go and work in a lab. And a lot of the time, there'll also be local engineering firms that love taking on interns, that take on co-ops. So you have opportunities to go work in the community as well. So it's just that idea of there's so many great people and opportunities at Virginia Tech that I just couldn't find anywhere else. So that's why I personally chose to come to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, like I would just add to that because I like it a lot. Like going at Virginia Tech, I had no like industry experience whatsoever, but like having one of the biggest engineering expo in the country, you get to have a lot of great companies to work with. There is also that like side where you can engage with a variety of things on campus and off campus, including research, co-ops, and internship and such. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, definitely. It's an amazing, amazing experience. And of course, I love the idea of the professional focus as well. So like learning to work on a team and all those professional skills, not something you're going to find a lot in, other universities that might be a little bit more focused on the technical aspect and not that idea of skills you need in your career. All right, so now we can actually go into just working with your questions. So we'll look through the chat. We'll try to go back answer any questions, and of course, feel free to just hop onto your mic and just ask us, and we'll be happy to answer. Okay, and of course, Bruce and I also towards the end we'll put down, or at least I'll share my email. So if you want to contact me through there, And so we'll be happy to provide you that as well. So what percentage of students do a co-op? I don't have that specific number, but there is going to be there are definitely a lot of interns, like a lot of intern and co-op opportunities available to College of Engineering students. So there are definitely a lot of people who will go on, those internships and co-ops. I don't have a specific number for you, those. And I'll put.
Yeah, what I know in the past is we have like the biggest. So there's the engineering expo, and then there is also what's the other one in the spring?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah, there's two big career fair that we have where
Yeah.
big companies come to recruit students. And I've been through 3 rotations. It's very common in engineering. They get like a whole year long of co-op rotations. A lot of students do like to take like, let's say, internship on the summer in the summer if they don't want to take off like semester off. But it's really up to the student. There is a lot of opportunities when it comes to like working in industry and doing internships and co-ops. So it's all like it all depends on if you want to take a whole year gap or if you want to work it within semesters, so take an internship instead of a co-op. But there is a lot of opportunities out there.
So
Yeah.
going into some more of these. So are internships part of the curriculum or are they optional? So they are optional. You can go, you can do internships as you like. You cannot do them as, if you don't want to. That is entirely up to you. It is pretty common to do internships, but it's also common to not. So, right, that's definitely a more of a personal choice kind of thing as to whether or not you want them. We have a hand up. Melissa, go ahead.
Thank you. So would I be applying to like the specific engineering path? Like, let's say I wanted to do biomedical, I would apply to that, and then first year I would do general engineering, and then the second year I do biomedical. Is that how it is?
Yes. So essentially, the very first year, every student gets accepted in this College of Engineering. And then after the first year, at the end of the first year, then that's when you get accepted, you declared major. And that's when per se you have to meet like a 3.0 to be guaranteed to have that first choice. But there's a lot of effort that are there to help you get that 3.0. If that is not the option, you can also get like the second option under. But yeah, you don't get accepted in your major. You just get accepted in the College of Engineering, and then only towards the end you can be accepted to your desired or declared major.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So gender balance. Gender balance, I think, is pretty solid. Again, I don't have a specific number for you, but I think it's pretty solid. There's definitely a good mix of male and female engineers. Um, interdisciplinary opportunities. I'd say there's a lot. Um, so I guess it depends on what you mean specifically on opportunities. If you mean talking to people from other majors or getting exposure to other majors, so definitely a lot, right? Like just going through your first year just within the College of Engineering, you'll have the opportunity to work on design teams, like or just teams in general within those first two general engineering classes. That will help you talk to engineers that might want other types of engineering, so that'll be a great way to get exposed to other types of engineering is just, other people. Um, but of course, as you are also going on to design teams, maybe you get a chance to work on something that under another engineering major traditionally, and I say that in air quotes because any engineering major, right, you can apply it to a lot of different things, but you might get the opportunity to do something that is a little bit outside of what you normally might look at. Outside of the College of Engineering, I think that's largely up to you. So pathways are a good way to expand your horizons. And, maybe you take some econ classes and you decide that you might want to do an econ minor. or you can just play around with some of those extra classes within your course schedule. Which also touching on that question about if you can take classes outside of COE, which yeah, you can. Okay. We accepted. Okay.
Yes, indeed. The VT food is really good, as the internet says. That's correct.
There's this place called Turner, which is super, super popular. It's like the only one on the academic side, but like it's great food. The pizza there, barbecue pizza, is so good. We have another hand up, Jasmine.
What's the size of like the intro classes?
Generally, I think it's like I want to say 40 people. Sounds right.
Okay.
I think it's about 40 people per class. If you're talking specifically about like the general engineering classes, yeah, I think it's like 40 per. Does VT help line up an internship? So we help you with getting one. Like we'll help you develop all the skills. We have a great resource that I actually like to talk about. It's called the Smith Career Center, which I actually work there. So if anybody that comes to VT next year, if you want, or this upcoming year, you want your resume looked at, I'm your guy. But we have a great resource where the career services people will help you develop a resume. We'll talk to you about any types of professional development. So we'll help you develop the skills that you need, help you build out your resume, your LinkedIn, talk about cover letters, anything that you need to actually apply to a job, and we'll help you understand that process and put yourself in a position that helps you best get through that successfully. But we don't actually line up an internship for you. It is something that we ask, that is something that the students need to go and actually find and get for themselves. We just will help you with that process.
So I don't think we have like a SAT score for like students to be successful, but the SAT score we shared earlier are kind of like the accepted pool of student that we have. And generally they say 695 for math and 659 for reading. So as long as you're accepted at Virginia Tech, they're like very confident that you're going to succeed and you have all the requirements to do better at Virginia Tech. We have also like a lot of resources for students, like we have info stations, we have a lot of student helping others. So, and also we have like, it's really very common for students to go to office hours to ask help from professors. So there is a lot of things put in place for you to succeed if you take everything in your own hands.
We have another hand up. Peter.
Hi. So when I apply to Virginia Tech, if I want to like major in mechanical engineering, do I have to apply to the College of Engineering to get into that, or do I just apply to general Virginia Tech?
So you would apply to the College of Engineering. I'm pretty sure when you apply, you'll say like you're interested in mechanical engineering. But when you apply, you actually go into the College of Engineering, and then you'll spend that first year in general engineering, and then at the end of your first year is when you actually will actually go into whatever major that you want. So like you want to go into mechanical, so when you actually get the form of what engineering major would you like to do, which you won't miss that email because they will send it to you like 20 times. But it'll tell you, it'll give you like a little, the ability to choose like 1 to 3 majors that you want. So you can say like mechanical, right? And so based on your GPA, you'll be able to actually select what the major you want to go into is. So to answer your question, you apply to the College of Engineering, and then you can actually go to a specific major at the end of your first year.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So there is no average financial aid package there. I don't think there is a number there, but what we like to say is that in your freshman year, you're probably going to have not a big of a package, but as you go in your major, there's a lot of contribution from alumni and other programs and for the departments as well. So that package is going to get bigger and bigger as you grow up in your major that you declared. So stay tuned and fill all those like applications on time. That's all that matters.
FAFSA again is a really big one. You'll be filling out every year. And if you don't know what the FAFSA is, if you literally just go on the internet and Google FASFA, that'll take you to the form. Do CS majors may take the same first year courses as other engineering majors? Yes. So you'll take the same exact. You'll be part of general engineering, right? So you'll have your Calc 1, 2. You have your Physics 1. You have your Calc. You have your Chem 1. So you will take the same first year classes. It's the second year where everybody starts to deviate. There are going to be similarities, of course, between some of the engineering majors. If you go into electrical and computer engineering, the first 2 years actually will be the exact same as everyone else within computer electrical engineering, and then you actually split off. But for CS majors, yeah, same first year classes. Building construction is the only exception. Which engineering majors are restrictive in capacity? I'd say that's going to be the smaller programs, I suppose, are going to be the more restrictive ones. So something like biomedical, I think, is like historically one of the harder ones to get into. I believe they actually have like their own GPA requirement.
Yeah.
It's a little bit higher than the 3.0. But so I guess getting into them, I'd say it's the smaller programs like biomedical, that's going to be harder. But as long as you hit the 3.0, the chances are that you're going to get the major that you wanted, unless it's something that has like the weird, slightly different requirements like biomed. I'm going to try to go back and answer some of these questions that we skipped over. Okay. Someone to contact, you have our contact info. Again, we can, we're happy to put those in again at the end, right before we, we're a good place to go for guidance. Oh, there's a new one. For Core Cadets. So I don't actually know how many college engineering students are in the Core Cadets. I know there's a lot. There's a pretty sizable chunk of them. We actually do have a Core Cadet. We have a cadet on the dean's team. So it's definitely, there's a good number of people that actually do participate in Core Cadet that are in College of Engineering. I don't, as usual with the numbers questions, we don't have a specific number, but that is definitely a thing that happens. That's common. What is the average GPA end of first year of engineering? We don't have that number either. I'd like to say it's probably 3.0, but we don't have a number for you specifically. Unless you know what it is, Bruce.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there is one.
So if you're not given your first choice as a major and becoming a sophomore, are you stuck in not having that major, or you apply for it for the following year? So yeah, you can definitely, change your majors. So that's definitely possible. So no, you're not stuck in whatever, your first choice, or if you're not given your first choice, you're not stuck there. Actually, interestingly, sometimes there's definitely a number of people who will get their first choice major and then decide they actually want to do something else. So it's not super hard to actually switch between the engineering majors. You just have to hit the minimum requirement, which I think sits at 3.0, even after the end of freshman year. What is the process of becoming a part of the? It's the fun one. Okay. Bruce, do you want to do this one, or?
I could say I literally just applied. Just saw an email saying like, "Hey, we have this big opportunity. If you're like, excited to talk about engineering and you want to share, help others learn and apply." And I applied and I joined a team. And my interest was kind of like, share and help others, because I know like coming into Virginia Tech, I had a lot of people helping me and mentoring groups and stuff. So just being able to pass that down was kind of like an exciting point. So yeah, I don't think there's a process to it. It's just being interested in, helping and your peers and communicating your interest. That's all.
Yeah. So when I applied, which I'm going into my second year on the team. So for us, they had us like it was kind of similar to a job application, but like slightly lower stress. So they had us do like resumes. After the resume, write interviews, which interviews are gonna be like dean's team members that are doing your interview, so not like a scary professor or anything. It's students talking to students. So that was the general process. I also got an email that asked for my resume. After the resume phase, I got asked to come in for an interview. You go to the interview, dean's team members interviewed me, and then I got on the team. So like a job app. Interesting story actually. When I first applied, one of my interviewers who was running late, actually runs late to literally everything, was this person that's graduated named Meghana. So she was my RA in freshman year, and so usually I think you get the dean's team email like in springish semester is when we start doing like a lot of that recruiting for the next year. So I already knew her as my RA. So when I actually went to the interview, she was late and she walked in late, and I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Meghana?" So it was really, really low key interview. But yeah, generally resume, interview, and then you're on the team. If you get selected, of course, not like.
Yeah, you have to get selected.
Yeah.
Again, we might not be able to go through all the questions, but we have the emails.
Yeah.
If you really do need have a one question answered, please do feel free to reach out to us.
So we'll take like 2 more
Essay
questions.
review.
Sound fair? And then we'll put our email in again at the end, and then this recording will be sent out. And of course, feel free to email us, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. So the last 2 questions I see are: do you know how I can get my essay reviewed, and could one switch from engineering to business school? So for getting your essay reviewed, feel free to actually talk if there's like a specific some that you're thinking of for getting your essay reviewed. For that though, I would recommend if there's like a writing center at your school. Writing centers are a great place to go to get your essays reviewed. Of course, parents can be a good place to go. That's what I did, is I asked my parents. So I guess asking around if you're thinking about general like essay writing skill. But as far as like trying to get it reviewed by VT specifically, I guess you could contact someone at VT and ask if they are willing to help you review your resume or your essay. But admissions probably might not help you out, or might not be as willing, just because they'll probably get a lot on their plate.
Yeah. I don't know. Were you asking for just the application? But we have a writing center, where like they have people help others write. But that is only for students. If you're a VT student and you need help with any writing, you could walk in and get some help. But as far as admission, I don't think there is writing help.
Could one switch from engineering to the business school if needed? Yeah, you totally could.
Same as engineering, business to engineering as well.
Yep.
Yeah. It is hard, but it's doable.
Yep, 100%. And of course, note that you can take classes from other schools. Like, it's not like you're in College of Engineering and you have to take College of Engineering classes. You can go take business classes, you can take science classes, you can take veterinary classes if you wanted to as a College of Engineering student. So it's not like you're restricted to just engineering classes. But it's also possible to switch out. Okay, last one. VT has engineering, business, and what else? That's a great question, actually. Google actually might be a little bit of a better answer for you than Bruce and I could, because I'm sure we're going to miss something.
Yeah.
But the major schools that I'm aware of are the engineering college, the business college, college of science, and we have a veterinary college. So those are big
I
ones
know
that I
there's
know of.
architecture school as well.
Yeah,
School of
architecture,
architecture.
and we have a liberal arts program as well.
Yeah.
But those are the ones I know about. Engineering and business and architecture, I think, are like the big three. But yeah, if you just go onto the VT website, I'm sure you'll be able to find a lot more information on what, like, the whole breadth of things that we offer. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you all. So again, I'm Paras Hundle. And so that is my email right there. So this will get sent out as a recording, and feel free to just note down my email and, send me an email if you have any questions after.
And there's mine as well.
All right. Hope to see you all on campus at some point.